Today's guest is one of my chicas, is one of my greatest friends, and it's such an honor to have her in my circle. Ary Mondragon, she is an entrepreneur, she is an activist, she is a creative, she's done a lot of things. She's host of the Pedro Biaggi show. She is the creator of the Dia de Muertos DC. That's how I met her. Her focus on female empowerment is essential in addressing gender equality, in promoting the rights and well-being of women. She advocates for marginalized people. Her work on advocacy reflects her commitment to justice and equality. I mean, I don't even know what else to say, Ary. Let's get into it. It's
wow.
It's just such an honor calling you my friend, but also having you as part of my community. So welcome, Ary.
Thank you, Belu. Thank you so much. It is an honor to be your friend. You know how much I love you and I care for you. I think that our friendship was the way that it was born. It was very unique and very genuine. So I definitely will be cherishing that forever, not only because we are sisters like that, but we're sisters in the movement. And to me, that's just amazing to be able to march shoulder by shoulder with you for the betterment of the world and humanity.
Thanks, Ary. Another thing that we have in common is that we're both immigrants.
Yes.
So, Ary, let's talk about your journey of being an immigrant and finding your voice here in the United States, and how did you make all of that happen?
Well, it sounds like a one-liner, like a very simple question that is a long story that now, every time that I think back, it's about to be almost 20 years that I came to this country. I think it's like 17 and a half, something like that. I don't know, but it has been a while. It was a rough awakening, to say the least, because I never lived anywhere else that it was not my parents' household since I was born my entire life. I was a very, I don't know how you say, like a very protected child. So when I left, my parents were not only devastated, but they were like, "Oh no, what is going to happen to her?" Mm-hmm. So yeah, the history of coming here and like finding myself and really my purpose and my voice through the struggle, that I wasn't expecting to live through, to go through, and how the structure of family became very, very important to me. Not that it was not before, but since I was surrounded by it, I didn't get to really appreciate it and value it as such, and being here, of course I'm married and I have a daughter now, but I don't have any other family members in this country. So that was a very shocking thing that I wasn't expecting to live through. And through, as we continue talking and tell you more about my story, the times that I wasn't able to go back home, that I wasn't able to be with my family because of, social injustice, because of discrimination, because of racism. I guess that we all have our own story, and I'm starting to finally tell mine and go back in time and learning from all the things that I've lived through.
That's beautiful. And you just said it so eloquent about the family. It's hard when you are an immigrant and you don't have any family here.
Yes.
And it's an awakening because you don't realize how important it is. I mean, you're close to your family, but you don't realize how much of an impact it's going to make on you once you're far away.
Yeah. And when you cannot reach out to them and say, let me drive an hour or 4 hours or 6 hours to go see my aunt, my cousin, my mom will come to see me every day, or my dad, my sisters, my nephew, is something that is a lot of things that you don't realize the daily impact that they have on your well-being, on your life, on how their care and their love is what keeps you going. Right? Without you knowing it. You just know that you're going. and then you're reaching for your dreams, and then you're doing what you want to do, but you forget to see that they are the fuel. And when you go far and you forget and you don't realize that they're the fuel, then when you run out of fuel is when you're like, oh, wow, they are that important. So one of the biggest things for me here, and we'll talk about it later, about Dia de los Muertos, is that the most important thing is the family unit. And what the system is going to attack first is the family unit. You know, we see it in every single issue that that is happening in this country. Talk about food insecurity. What does affect the family unit? Talk about immigration and unjust detention, you know, because asylum is a human right. So family, what are targeted? The families are targeted. The children are targeted. Education, what does it target? Families, you know. So I think that they really made me realize the value of the family structure and the sanctity of a family circle. You know, it doesn't have to be blood, because I completely like see you as part of my family, right? But it does make you aware of that, the importance of that structure, not only in a personal basis, but also within community.
That's right. And I think you and I as mothers understand the importance of having that unit and that community around you.
Oh,
so
totally.
Because being a mother, being a parent, it's a full-time job, and it definitely requires a village.
Oh, yes. And do you know that I just actually, it's so funny. I was reading on a statistic about this. And being a mother is having, and of course, taking care of the household and everything, is having, it's equivalent of having 2.5 full-time jobs.
Wow.
You know, and of course, we know that that is something that goes unpaid and unrecognized, and is always expected, correct? And there's always high expectations and performance that our family members are waiting to receive from us, because it's the culture. So it is very difficult when you are a mom and you don't have that support. And it made me also realize how important my mother was in my life, and how all the little feuds or disagreements that I will ever have in my entire life would never equate to the love that she always gave us, you know, by making 3 meals per, like, you know, a 3-course meal per meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And, you know, I can see it reflected in my hair. I can see it reflected in my skin. Those tomato juices that she made every morning for 5 people, and then multiply that for 3, and then 7 days a week, and then 24/7. And that's only one of the things that she was doing. That's only the kitchen. And we're not talking about everything else, correct? That entails going and buy the groceries, that entails cleaning, that entails the pickup, that entails everything. So it really made me see how, you know, my mother was so powerful, and how also being alone, because I was pregnant while COVID, you know, not having family members here, and delivering my baby super far away from every single family member of mine in Mexico. It was just the hardest thing that I had to go through in my entire life. And I don't want my daughter to go through that at all.
Yeah.
I never thought my mom was not going to be present with me. And I never thought my mom was going to take 2 years to meet my daughter.
That's really hard. And you were talking about family units and how that is one of the reasons why you created Dia de los Muertos DC.
Yes.
So let's walk through that realization, and when you said, okay, this is happening, this needs to happen in Washington, DC. How was that process?
So first of all, one of the things, and you mentioned Washington, D.C., and I want to get that out of the way before I forget it, is the fact that while working in this country, starting to live in this country by myself, one of the things that I realized is that it's very important where you are. You know, your location, depending on what you want to do, your location is essential. So Washington, D.C. is the capital of one of the, or if not the most powerful country in the world, correct? So if we are at the center of everything, whatever message we have to deliver is going to have to make noise or be heard or be seen. You know, if we position ourselves, because when we started Dia de los Muertos, I mean, we are growing and we have a beautiful and big community, but we started very small. You are a witness of it. You were part of the first ever Dia de los Muertos DC benefit festival. You were one of the 4 performances that we had that evening. We just celebrated our 7th year. And it was just knowing that making noise at the right place was going to actually have an effect on something. It was going to be heard. And the family unit part for Dia de los Muertos is because I needed something that was going to make me feel home. I still, at that time, and I want to say this, at that time, I didn't feel like I was home in here. I never felt really welcome. You know, I had a very rocky start of my life in this country. So I always saw home in Mexico, like that was it. You know, like I'm never going to be home in here. And now it's a complete different story because through Dia de los Muertos, I was able to completely understand that we belong, whatever we stand, we belong because we come from the same earth. Mother Earth is just one whole huge being, right? And we're so small, we cannot cover it all, but we come from the same one. So we belong here. So this is my home. But even before that realization, bringing a celebration that made me feel so close to my dearest people here that have transitioned, like it was my grandmother, right? My grandfather, like very close and individuals that marked my life. And that it was also a tradition that Mexicans know how to celebrate very well and colorful. So it brought the colors, it brought the aromas, it brought the music, it brought the sentiment and that feeling. So around that, and we thought that my partner and I, Kyle, he's also my husband and he's my partner in crime with Dia de los Muertos DC co-founder. We wanted to make sure that people felt connected with something and with like their humanity. We were going through relief efforts for I think it was Hurricane Maria and an earthquake. It was a big earthquake in Mexico that happened. That we were doing relief efforts for that, and we saw that, you know, people in this country had a bigger, like, you have more power. With $1 you can, you know, use 21 pesos to support more. So by creating that connection with the holiday and, you know, the part of like, we all have ancestors, we're all human, you know, that's the main connector. Nobody can come and say, oh no, I don't have ancestors and I'm not connected to all the humans on earth. No human being can say that. So that is a very strong connector for us to bring common ground to everybody. So through music, through the arts, we decided that was a beautiful way to put the message out. And then we started to grow, and we also started discovering more and more about the holiday and about ourselves and about how it was really all about loving each other and recognizing each other as equals.
Yeah. No, I think so. Where I'm from, Colombia, we celebrate Dia de los Muertos, but it's not the same celebration that Mexico has.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way that Mexico does it, Mexico, is
I know.
Sí, Mexico is beautiful, and you know, I had adopted that in my way of life because it's a wonderful way of seeing how one passes, but they're not gone for, you know, like forever, you know, like they're actually stay with you. They're not gone.
They're here.
They're here. They're part of the earth. And it's a celebration of their lives. Yeah. And it's colorful and it's joining as a community. And I think that's also what drew me to being part of Dia de los Muertos DC. And seeing the growth of this festival and just seeing you and Kyle taking on and making it bigger and bigger and bigger throughout the years is just astonishing. And I just want to ask you, how does it feel to see that, from being in a small pop-up shop to now
Yes.
having it at the mall? And you continue to have it at the mall, but we've had it throughout different places in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And what does it feel like to see that come to life? And I know that you also go to Burning Man
Yes.
with with some of the creations of Dia de los Muertos. So share with us that feeling.
Well, I have, se me pone la piel chinita en este momento, mi velo. So I get goosebumps just to think about it. It has been very fast. It has been life-changing, because I want everybody that is, listening to this to picture in their heads that a moment when they were building something with three people, for example, right? And then how now that one little thing that they built with those three people became 20 people, and it became bigger, like kind of like really visualizing how your energy transformed into something physical, how those sleepless nights, how all those phone calls, how all those emails, how everything translated, like our energy was able to hit your energy as Velu from the San Washington to like hit those notes in your voice to make it happen, to materialize it. And now seeing it materialized and having a warehouse space, to having this like huge, the Alebrije projects, to having our own staging, to having like all these different pieces of infrastructure and art, that we have created with everybody's energy that has been like part of the project. And a very tangible example for Dia de los Muertos is the peace tank.
Yeah.
So the peace tank it started at Funk Parade. We joined Funk Parade like 8 years ago as a trajinera. In Mexico, las trajineras son boats that cross el lago de Xochimilco, and they're like beautiful and colorful and covered in flowers. Well, the thing is that we started like that, and it was Funk Parade, and it was a parade to represent, right, our culture. And then with activism and art, things merge in, because if you wanna raise your voice without being violent and allowing your emotions to take over, and you wanna express yourself, the best medium is art. It can be music, it can be painting, it can be sculpture, it can be anything you want. So what we did is that we joined, it was election night, and we were supporting back then President Biden, right? And it was atrocities happening across the border, and Freedom Bikes the trajinera became an altar for children that have died in detention center. We wanted to find a mobile way. I have to tell you, this trajinera has wheels, and the only way that it moves, and this vehicle that it moves, is by people pushing it. So this is what I'm going with, like the energy. You can see the energy materialize, like bodies pushing something that is actually moving. It's your effort and mine making it move. So it became an altar. People were able to engage and communicate. They had no idea what was happening in detention centers, and we were able to express that and connect with people. Then it was different peace activations, and it became the peace tank, using a military model to ask for demilitarization of the budget. Why do people want, people like you and I, what do we want? Because it is our money. The government works for us. We want more money for childcare. We want money for education. We want money for food. So engaging with people through the arts, and with the peace tank, it became now this like huge, like maybe like 10 by 10 life-size tank made out of wood that it like has flowers on the top. and it has, DJs on the top as well, and it's pushed by people. It became that beacon of community. That is the perfect example that so many hands touch that tent. Your hands touch that tent. We join different type of movements and marches for humanity, for peace, for freedom, and seeing so much energy together, creating this that continues to move, not only shows physically how energy transforms, because our eyes cannot see everything, but it also fills my heart with the hope and the truth of our relatives that have transitioned remain. EMC al cuadrado.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It does not.
That tank is it's a very, very powerful image. I want to transition to seeing your growth. So seeing Ary be Ary, and she's a go-getter, by the way. I mean, like, you're a go-getter. And all of this put you in a position where it opened doors for you. You are now in the Pedro Viaggi's show as a co-host. Mm-hmm. You also are part of a segment that is called ¿Qué hacer y dónde ir? Mm-hmm. You're very well connected with the Latino media in the Washington, D.C. area. You've had opportunities to host Latino USA. For those who want to pursue these sort of opportunities, what would you tell them? And how do you think that it was organic, or do you think it was just, that energy that you put out into the universe and then it came back to you?
Well, this is such an awesome question. And yes, it is something that you attract. And yes, it is something that you manifest. But how do you manifest it? By moving. You manifest it by doing. You're going to manifest it by actually getting out of your comfort zone. You're going to manifest it by falling on your face and seeing and getting hurt. And then you're going to realize that doing this type of things are going to hurt you. You want to continue this way and at this maybe a speed, right? So what I would say is always trust your gut and be genuine with your own intentions. What do you want? What is ultimately what you want? And if you have very clear what is your goal in the end, everything else with a genuine and a willing heart of service, you're going to go so far. You're going to go as far as you want to go. But know also that while you are going on this road, you're going to run into a lot of different humans that are not like you, that are very different, that feel very different, that have been through different situations and have a completely different mindset. So remember that you cannot internalize how they see you, right? So that's my biggest thing. Because if you do that, I'm somebody that is very, I internalize everything and I dissect everything in every conversation, maybe because it's my still brain translating, right? Because we're very literal in Spanish. But I would say, know your worth, your value, and don't allow anything to deter you from where you're going. One thing that I knew very, very well since day one for Dia de los Muertos is I wanted to do everything in my power in my entire life to make sure that it was no more children separated from their families and that it was no more borders breaking those family units. And at the moment and right now, unfortunately, still the crisis at the border. But that's not the only crisis that children are facing and families are facing all over the world. It's violence, it's genocide, it is abuse, so many things. And when you know where your heart is, start at home. So my home is here now, right? So I have to start here. So that's why we support the Young Center for Immigrant Children's Rights and Dia de los Muertos, a beautiful organization that take care of all unaccompanied minors that are crossing the border. And we also support Rostros Sabios, de Mi Corazón a Tu Corazón in Mexico. It takes care of families that have been completely abandoned by the government in very, very marginalized communities. And we work in prevention because we support these centers. They give the children the medical attention, the education, the nutrition, the everything. So they can actually, we can prevent the migration. If you're happy at home, if you have everything at home, if you have the basic needs at home, would you like to leave, go migrate? I'm sorry. I am very thankful for this country, but I'm never going to get used to the snow and the weather.
Yeah, it's very cold. It can be very cold. Washington DC is a beautiful city, but it can be very cold. Mm-hmm. And I think what you said it's true. I mean, there is struggles around the world. And I think that's what Dia de los Muertos DC is so important because it brings us together and it sort of grounds us and makes us realize we all have a lot of similarities, more similarities than we can imagine. Ary, for closing, what is happening in 2024, 2025? What are your plans in the next coming years?
Well, I am very excited because even though we are living in very hard times right now, my heart is full of hope that all of our energy together can make this possible. And we want to make Dia de los Muertos a national holiday based on equality, based on if we're all the same in death, we should all be the same in life, alongside pushing very hard for the ERA to be ratified, to be published, to be everything that it needs to be, because it's such a shame that we don't have equal rights in 2023, not one more year, not one more second, not one more day. So we need to do that because equality is the base of everything. And if we want to move forward in the other issues that we want to solve, homelessness, body autonomy, healthcare, food insecurity, first, we have to set the precedent with equality. So that is what Dia de los Muertos is going to be back in very hard this year, alongside making it a national holiday to remember and honor our ancestors. I mean, for crying out loud, we have Pupusa Day, but we're not honoring the creators of the masa and the pupusa and the relleno. Like, how backwards is that?
That is so true. That is so true. I mean, there should be a way to pitch it. Definitely.
Trust me, it's been all these years coming. I'm ready for that pitch now.
Ary, I mean, I can't wait to see what happens with Dia de los Muertos, but also what happens with you as a person, as a woman, as a Latina, as an immigrant. You have an energy that attracts and it's inspiring. And I think people need to know about your story and keep doing what you're doing. You have a community that loves you, and I'm part of that. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to sit down and talk to you and get a little bit in your head. And so thank you, Ary. Muchas gracias, mi amiga.
Mi Beluccini, no, you know that you're super Belu. And that's it. Belu does it all with a cape in a fashion and timely manner. Everything. So no, Belu, thank you so much. You are, and this is, looking back and looking now, like, this is the beauty of what we created with Dia de los Muertos DC. Also, that every single artist that donates their talent and their time and participant. Now you've been part of the board since day one, and you also participate as an artist. So that is what we have created. And I am so proud that we were able to come together as this beautiful community of light that is willing to do what it takes for humanity and for the future generations, because we are not here to serve ourselves. We're here to serve each other. And I hope that you invite me again. I really enjoy talking to you a lot.
No, I love it. You know that we'll be talking to you soon again. And ni para atrás ni para echar impulso, like we say in Colombia. So onward and forward. Gracias, Ary.
Yes, Jenny, I love you. Okay, I'm sorry, that was a little unprofessional. Yes, Belu, this was a pleasure.